Hello and welcome to Biz Headlines on GhanaWeb TV with me, Mauli Aholimega. Now to our very first story, which is on the electronic transfer levy. Government is set to implement a redesign of the tax policy in the coming months. According to a report, government through the Ministry of Finance is seeking to comprehensively redesign the controversial electronic transfer levy. The report noted that the move forms part of government's medium-term strategy seeking to revamp and optimize the tax policy for much better effectiveness and efficiency. The report further added that a comprehensive redesign of the e-levy could depict a rather forward-thinking approach to taxation in line with the digital age. It further added that government will adopt the redesigned tax policy to boost its revenue generation efforts while broadening the domestic tax base to support key sectors of the economy. Now to our second story, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etuahene has advocated for a constitutional amendment in order to incorporate a debt limit or debt cap. He explained that the move would ensure economic stability and manage debt levels to avert a financial crisis, particularly in a post-IMF program. Touching on Ghana's unsustainable debt levels, which has forced the country to seek a 17th bailout program from the IMF, the banking consultant said Ghana must adopt key measures to rake in domestic revenue while adopting innovative ways to widen and broaden the tax base.
It's not a radical call. May I pay tribute to Professor Mills? If Professor Mills had been alive, I'm sure some of these things that I'm saying he would have talked. Because you see, the Constitution does not put a brake on borrowing. And when we borrow, we can borrow and borrow and borrow. The debt GDP ratio is 107%. Which country? Which country? I think the whole Africa, we are the highest. So I'm saying that, I'm agitating that the parliament or whoever is in charge begin to think about putting a debt cap or debt limit like the Americans. So that when you get to a certain 50% of the GDP, you have to go and amend the constitution before you can spend. Because if a law is part of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, it is easy when you have majority in parliament. They say, yeah, and then they move the goalpost. And when they move the goalpost, it doesn't help us. But if it's constitution entrenched, you cannot do that. That's why I'm saying that we must look at the constitution very, very well. It has been suspended because there is nothing. If the cap was in the constitution, they cannot suspend the fiscal responsibility. Because you need to go into the constitution, amend it before you could have done what you did. But because it's a law passed with majority, they can easily get over it. But what I'm saying that entrench it in the constitution, put it in the constitution that, and I told you, literature has shown that developing countries should not have more than 50%. The developed countries should have 60% of the prudential limit of 60%. And you can't have a country which is so underdeveloped, borrowing but not putting into productive use.
Now, to Ghana's inflation for the month of September has witnessed a decline from 40.1% to 38.1%. This is according to the Ghana Statistical Service, which explained that the latest figures show that food inflation, which has been a major driver of national inflation, declined to 49.4% from an earlier 51.9% recorded in August 2023. The figure for non-food inflation was, however, pegged at 29.3% for September from 30.9% recorded back in August 2023. Now to developments in Ghana's aviation sector, where Ashanti Airlines was seeking to commence operations sometime in July this year. The move has seemed to have hit a snag more than a year after winning the bid with the government of Ghana in establishing a home-based carrier for Ghana. Ashanti Airline and its financial partner, Zotus Group, are yet to show any significant progress in actualizing the project. After missed takeoff date in 2022, government gave assurances that the airline, Ghana Airlines, would start selling tickets in April and May 2023 and commence commercial flights by June or July 2023. After going through the process to acquire the air operator certificates from the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Ashanti Airlines has trailed the process for months, stretching back to last year, a reliable source with knowledge of the matter told aviationghana.com. With barely some 14 months to end the tenure of the Akufo-Addo government, there is now a desperate search for an answer to a nearly 7-year-old quest for a new home-based carrier. Now to development with regards to the banking sector cleanup. The former Chief Executive Officer of Defunct Capital Bank, William Atu-Essien has been sentenced to 15 years imprisonment with hard labor. His sentence comes after he failed to pay 90 million to the state as directed by the court. Per the High Court's judgment, he was supposed to have paid 20 million of the 60 million restitution by April 28, 2023 and pay the rest by the end of December 2023. The court, which was presided by Justice Che Buafo, a Court of Appeal judge sitting as an additional High Court judge, accepted the terms of the settlement filed by the Attorney General and Atu-Essien. It will be recalled that the former CEO of Capital Bank was convicted on his own plea after striking a deal with the state under Section 35 of the Courts Act. Now let's move on to Ghana's quest to secure a second tranche bailout from the International Monetary Fund, where the fund's managing director, Madame Kristalina Georgieva, says the fund is awaiting the outcome of Ghana's agreement with bilateral creditors before the country can access the second tranche disbursement of 600 million of the 3 billion bailout package for Ghana. The IMF and Ghana on October 6, 2023 reached a staff-level agreement after concluding a first review of the bailout package, which was first accessed back in May 2023. IMF Mission Chief Stefan Rode, speaking at a joint press conference in Accra, noted that the agreement is subject to financing assurances and executive board approval before the funds can be accessed by Ghana. Now to our very final story, which touches on the saga between the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the former Minister of Sanitation, Madame Cecilia Abena-Dapaah, where the OSP says it is now collaborating with the Federal Bureau of Investigation at the U.S. Embassy in Ghana to initiate concurrent inquiries into the activities of the former Minister of Sanitation, Madame Cecilia Dapaah, and her associates. The move is aimed at examining their assets and financial transactions within the United States of America. In a tweet posted on October 11, the OSP said this collaborative effort is to ascertain the lawfulness of Mrs. Dapaah and her associates' wealth, both in the context of their funds transitioning from Ghana to the United States of America. Madame Cecilia Dapaah was on October 10, 2023, charged by the Office of the Special Prosecutor for failure to comply with a directive requiring her to declare her assets and financial holdings. That's all for this week's edition of Biz Headlines on GhanaWeb TV with me, Mauli Aholumega. Before we go, don't forget to log on to our website, www.ghanaweb.com. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter @The GhanaWeb. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel, GhanaWeb TV. Once again, I am Mauli Aholumega.